Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel. And I am coming on today because I was getting ready to make the last of my cards for my Stick Your Side of Crafting collaboration, which the video will go up tomorrow. And I was gonna do like some old school techniques, and then I thought, you know what, I haven't done a Throwback Thursday in a long time. So I decided to save this last card and do it with you guys for Throwback Thursday. So I have some older Stickopotamus stickers that I'm trying to use up for the Stick Your Side of Crafting. I have 3 pumpkins and then a couple of leaves left. And then I've already gone ahead and cut and folded my card base. It's A2, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to do it horizontally. And then I have a couple pieces of paper here already cut down to the size I need them to be, but I'm going to do a little bit of something to the brown piece. And then I have my sentiment, which I will also trim down in a bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my blue paper down on my card base. And there's no pattern to it. It's light blue, but it's not cardstock. It's like a thin, single-sided paper. So I am going to go ahead and get this down first. And I'm pretty sure this thin piece of paper has been in my stash for a while. So I think even my products here are Throwback. And then I have my brown. It almost has a little bit of a leathery texture, but I'm going to use it as ground. And I'm going to tear. And I want to tear, I don't want the white edge. Like normally when you tear, you kind of want that white edge. I don't want the white edge, I just want the jagged look kind of a torn background. And so I'm going to tear away from me. And what that does is it'll put the white edge on my top piece, but then this piece will not have, there'll be a little bit of a white edge, I think, but it won't be as drastic as, the top piece will be. So I'm just I want to create the look of dirt, kind of like a pumpkin patch. And I may have to kind of go in and clean up my tear here. We'll see how it looks. So you can see the difference by tearing away from myself. My top piece has the white edge, and my brown piece doesn't have much of a white edge. So that's good. So I'm going to put that down because what I'm ultimately going to do is create a scene, like a little pumpkin patch scene. But I'm not done with this piece of paper. I remember when I used to do a lot of paper tearing and create scenes, I would tear and I would also crumple. Did anybody else do this? And it's easier to do with a thinner paper, but you crumple it. And sometimes you can even wet it and crumple it and get like a smoother crumple book. But the point of crumpling is it gives you some dimension. So it's not just, I don't know, it just makes it look more like bumpy dirt. And then I would also come in, if I wanted even more dimension, I could come in and crumple it and then take an ink pad and go over like the crumple lines. And that would also add some more dimension. I have like a straight edge here, or I folded it weird. So like I said, if you wet it just a little bit, like spray it with a mister, the crumple lines will look a little smoother and less jagged, but that is kind of the look I'm going for. I chose this brown just because it had like some different shades in there, kind of looked more like a dirt pattern. And then with the tearing and the crumpling, it kind of gives it that earthy look that I'm going for. So because this is thin paper, I'm going to go ahead and use my ATG on it. If you were using a thicker paper, then you might want to use like score tape or something a little more heavy duty. But this brown paper is pretty thin. But I am going to go ahead and put some extra on here to make sure that all any part that was kind of lifted up in the crumpling will stick. So now the trick is getting this down straight. Oh, and I'm going to have to trim off a little bit. It shortened up. I should have made it a little bit longer, kind of shortened up when I... So I'm going to trim up the edge of my card here. Okay. So I have my sky and I have my dirt, and you can see like there's just a little bit of texture in there. And if I were dealing with die cuts, or if I would have taken the time to back these on some cardstock and then fussy cut them out, then I probably would have like made a few slits in here and then like maybe tucked my pumpkins in so they weren't totally sitting flat on the dirt. Again, would give it some additional dimension. But I didn't really want to take the time to back these on cardstock and fussy cut them out, so I'm just going to use the stickers. And I'm just going to create a little scene, and I think I want them, I'm going to try and use my clear sheet here as my test area so I can see what it's going to look like before I put them down, but I need to get the leaves out of the way. So for those of you that have been crafting for a while, did you ever do much tearing and crumpling and inking back in the day? That used to be one of my favorite things to do. Especially if I was doing like a camping scene, or I had one where my husband was off-roading in a Jeep. And so I created a lot of like dirt and rocks and hills. Let's see. Don't want them to be perfect, but I also want there to be a little bit of difference in the heights of them. And then I'd like to tuck my leaves behind this guy maybe. So there's not a whole lot to this card, but I just, again, haven't done a Throwback Thursday in a while and thought this would be a fun one to share because, like I said, it used to be one of my favorite techniques to do. I didn't do it so much in cards, I did it more in scrapbooking. And I used to do it a lot too, like creating ocean, like water, beach, sand. Those scenes were kind of fun to create this way too. Okay, let's see if I can get this down in one piece now. Okay, so again, just a simple scene. I want to make sure these stick on my crumpled paper. And then this part isn't necessarily old school. This part's going to be kind of modern day, because I want to take my harvest blessings and stick it up here in the top, but I want to create a little fishtail edge on one side. All right, get that down. And then there's my sentiment harvest blessing and my little pumpkin patch scene. So, not an elaborate project, not a hard project. You probably didn't necessarily learn anything new, but again, just wanted to revisit one of my old favorites and kind of revisit the whole Throwback Thursday series as well. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little blast from the past, and maybe it brought back some good memories, or maybe even brought back some some bad memories about all the projects that maybe didn't turn out quite the way you would hoped. I had a bunch of those when I was doing stuff like this back then too. But anyway, just thought I would share. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks so much for your time today, and have a very crafty day.